Good afternoon. My name is Mary Bartel, and today I'd like to share with you my journey in the past semester, really the past year, and maybe even the past 25 years, of how I've become the manager and leader, or at least started the journey of becoming the manager who I want to be. I titled this presentation as A Time to Break Up with Arrogance. Because much like breaking up with maybe a not so good boyfriend or girlfriend, it's time for me to shed off that arrogance that I've been holding, that's been stopping me from becoming the most influential leader and a positive force for good change. As an introduction to myself, I'm 25 years old. I'm homeschooled. I was homeschooled up until college. I lived in Arkansas, part of my life in Colorado. I'm very adventurous. I have a wildflower spirit. I am stubborn at my roots, but I try to live my life with the greatest beauty that I can find. My undergrad was in economics and finance. And after I graduated from Washburn, I spent a few years working on the trade operations team at Security Benefit and for Eldridge Industries. My time at Security Benefit really molded how I see strong leaders and managers. And that was even more influenced by my current professor, Jane Burdick, who also worked at Security Benefit and influenced that community, but also showed me how a strong woman can be a strong leader in even a place like Topeka, Kansas. So first, I want to bring up my first three stumbling blocks, the things that really I felt took away from my potential of being a strong leader. When I took the self-assessments in this course, a few things came up as my weaknesses. And even before I took those self-assessments, I knew deep down that these were things I struggled with. First was my self-awareness. I'm pretty self-aware. My self-assessment came out that I know what's going on internally, but I don't really handle people giving me bad feedback or negative feedback. Sometimes it ties into my emotional intelligence. I just don't always control my outward expression when I don't do so well. I realize that a lot of that ties to the high expectations that I have for myself. And then again, that ties into managing stress and my own well-being. When I have high expectations for myself, too high, things that I cannot reach, and when I don't meet those, but I don't really understand why I'm not meeting those, I get upset. When others don't meet my high expectations as well, I get upset. And it tends to snowball because I never like being out of control. Because again, I have high expectations for myself. Normally I can keep these things under control, but if I'm being really honest to myself, they become very difficult to handle when I'm managing stress as well. For a long time, my idea of managing stress meant, well, get through it, get home, relax, do some self-care, and just suck it up. But this semester, after leaving Security Benefit, I had to come to terms with the idea that taking care of myself didn't always look so beautiful. It didn't mean that iconic face mask, cute nail spa day, but it sometimes meant getting out of bed when the day was really difficult and going in for a walk, going and working out, seeking mental health care and being okay with who I was, where I was at that time. During this semester, I had a lot of epiphanies. I challenged myself because I had such a lack of self-awareness in this self-assessment to tear down my ego, to recognize where I had hurt people in the past and how that could translate into my professional life if I didn't recognize it and take care of it. It got very dark in some times. I wasn't sure that I even wanted to finish my MBA. I wasn't sure that I was worth it, that I even could meet the expectations that others had put on me. I soon developed a strategy. If I didn't have a good day, or if I had a good day, I would look at what happened during the day, look at my choices, and practice saying kind things to myself. And slowly, I began realizing that the way that I was treating myself was how I was treating others when I was not in control. When I was not in control, that meant that I wasn't managing my stress. I wasn't being patient with others. And I wasn't practicing charity, kindness, things that I value as being part of my genuine personality. Honestly, it brought me to a deep depression. Recognizing that I could have that anxiety and depression was the first start to recognizing that I could change these, that it was okay, that I was not managing my stress well, that I jumped into a job that maybe I wasn't ready for because my emotional intelligence just hadn't met that level that it needed to. One thing that I always thought that maybe I was lacking in being homeschooled was that I didn't have a thick skin. And that's where my emotional intelligence tends to fall short, is that I take things personally. I think that's something that I'll always be working on. I think it's something that I have to take a step back from and understand that my first reaction probably is not the best reaction. What kept me going through this semester and seeking to push through, even through my darkest moments, was my fourth point, something that I was good at. My Myers-Briggs personality test, 3 times that I've taken it throughout my life, has always come out the same. I sometimes fall between extrovert and introvert. I'm pretty ambiverted. Keyword I learned from you, Professor Burdick. But in reality, I'm the protagonist. I'm great at gaining power and influencing people. My self-assessment explained this. I'm great at influencing good change, positivity, and motivating teams. My assessment on my management skills showed that I had high management skills. I am ready for that role. I know that I'm going to be good at it, but it's just natural. But I realized there are personal stumbling blocks that I must overcome in order to be the best manager and the best leader possible. So why did I choose these? Like I said, these are my stumbling blocks. They're stopping me from being the leader I envision as myself. I studied finance and economics in my undergrad, like I mentioned. And I have to admit, I'm a bit of a nerd. I read lots of economics books. I even share a birthday with Milton Friedman. And these people have totally sculpted my idea of a leader, which means I'm a little too direct, I'm a little too upfront, and I'm a little too forward, especially when I'm managing stress and when I'm when I'm not taking care of my well-being. I oftentimes gave myself the excuse that this was okay, that I was treating people the way that they deserved because I was just holding them to that expectation. And it honestly made some of my interactions more uncomfortable and high tension. It gave way to some controversial interactions that changed my professional career and how I saw myself. I couldn't pinpoint what these stumbling blocks were. Honestly, I just thought that I was a grumpy person, that I took things personally, that maybe I had something going on. But in reality, these are just issues everybody deals with. And because I had set such high expectations for myself, I wasn't meeting them and I was becoming even worse than I should. I was letting myself get to the very bottom and not clawing my way back up. I had convinced myself that I was trying my hardest, but in reality, I wasn't. I had given up. How do I know these are affecting me and how do I change with them? These aspects of myself are so prevalent in my personal and professional life. These stumbling blocks tie into my happiness and my well being. And when I'm not treating others with my genuine kindness and I'm not acting genuine, well, honestly, I'm not happy. That's one of the reasons I left security benefit. I loved the job, I loved the position, but I knew I was not being fulfilled. And I knew that part of it was because of myself. I was not choosing to step over those stumbling blocks. I was burnt out and I was tired. And this showed one of my biggest pitfalls. I give up in the face of controversy. So, what's next? How am I going to overcome this? How am I going to stop getting myself into a situation where I just give up? I've already started some of these, but I think it's important to actually put them into my calendar and make sure that I stick to them. Maybe a Google reminder once a year. First, a regular self evaluation. It's easy for me, I'm Catholic, I can do a pretty good examination of conscience. But I realized that every day, maybe I need to add some things into there. I make myself feel pretty guilty about things that are just normal. And maybe I need to have a little bit of a reality check there. I need to self evaluate, but also understand and forgive myself so that I can easily recognize how I can be better the next day and have the confidence to do so. Maybe I need to schedule in a regular reality check every quarter, just a breakdown of my strengths, my weaknesses, what I've done good and what I've done bad. And I think I need to start looking at realistic self care. This semester, since I haven't been working, I've been able to go work out, walk regularly, cook myself healthy food, go figure out stress relieving activities that are long term and not just short term. Lastly, I think it's important that I give myself and others a break and understand that maybe I grew up in an environment with really high expectations, but that doesn't mean that that's how I need to treat others. I can still hold both myself and them to those higher expectations, but they have to be realistic. And when we don't meet them, I can't get angry or upset. I need to step back, take a few minutes, and look at it realistically. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. And for this whole semester, it has been a wild ride. I've learned so much, and I feel like I've changed completely from my first self-assessment to my very last. Thanks again.